Baseball, a game that holds a very special place in the hearts of American sports fans. For more than a century, we've gone to see our heroes perform on the diamond, hoping to catch a glimpse of history. The players we will feature here did not only add their names to the record books, they wrote their own chapters in the story of our national pastime. What Babe Ruth meant to the game of baseball is exemplified by the mightiness of his home run swing. Everything about George Herman Ruth was big. He had a hefty physique. He hit monstrous homers, and he loved large post-game celebrations. But perhaps more than anything else, Babe's mere presence in the game gave the sport an identity that it sorely lacked, and he helped raise baseball to the level of popularity that it retains today. In a career spanning 3 decades, Ruth was the main attraction in the game, and not always because of his adeptness at the plate. Off the field, the Babe lived life in the fast lane, and his penchant for large quantities of food, drink, and women often made headlines. Yet the Bambino's legion of fans continued to grow, as did his home run totals, which added up to 714 for his career. Despite his reputation, Ruth was much more than just a powerful slugger. He was a .342 lifetime hitter, and he won 20 games twice as a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox prior to his Yankee glory years. The Sultan of Swat led the New Yorkers to 7 pennants before ending his playing days with the Boston Braves. After his retirement, Babe remained very much in the public eye before he was stricken with cancer. In 1948, Babe Ruth died at the age of 53, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most flamboyant figures in American history. As boisterous as Babe Ruth was, Lou Gehrig was just as quiet and unassuming, but he was no less of a baseball player. As Ruth's teammate with the Yankees for 12 years, Lou was one of the most talented and durable athletes ever. In his career, Gehrig hit nearly 500 home runs, batted .340, and teamed with Ruth to give the Yanks an awesome 1-2 punch on offense. Lou's combination of strength and stamina made him a deadly line drive hitter. And his hard work and determination helped him become a top-rate defensive first baseman. Gehrig's accomplishments on the field were often overshadowed by Ruth's exploits, but number 4 was never deterred. He was one of the leading home run and RBI men in the game, driving in an American League record 184 runs in 1931. But his most impressive achievement in baseball was the 2,130 consecutive games he played in, a record that took him 15 years to set. By 1939, the Iron Horse had become a living legend, but Lou was no match for what would befall him that season. Gehrig was diagnosed with a rare and fatal muscle disorder that currently bears his name. And in one of the more memorable and emotional moments in sports history, Lou said goodbye to baseball, claiming before a sellout Yankee Stadium crowd that he was the luckiest man alive. 2 years after his tearful farewell, Lou Gehrig died. He was just 37 years old. Even though his life was cut short at an early age, Gehrig's memory will live on as a man who gave his all to the sport he loved. Joe DiMaggio was the man chosen to carry on the tradition of Yankee greatness set forth by Ruth and Gehrig, and he fulfilled his duties beyond expectations. DiMaggio wore Yankee pinstripes for 16 years, and he performed with a style and grace unforeseen in any player before or since. There was no visible weakness in his game. He could hit for power and for average. He covered more ground than most outfielders of his era, and he made it all look easy. Joe joined the Yankees in 1936, and in his first 4 years in the Bronx, DiMaggio led the Bombers to 4 straight World Series titles. The following year, Joe hit in 56 straight games, a record that many feel will never be broken. Despite spending 3 years in the military during World War II, number 5 was still one of the most popular players in the sport, and on the field, he barely lost a step. Even before Big D handed in his uniform, he would bring 10 world championships to the Big Apple, along with 3 league MVP awards to adorn his own trophy case. This Hall of Famer played his last game in 1951, and as a testament to his talent, he was voted baseball's greatest living player nearly 2 decades later. Joe DiMaggio, a one-of-a-kind sports hero. Ted Williams was a DiMaggio contemporary and a bit more outspoken than his Yankee rival. Williams once said that he wanted to be remembered as baseball's greatest hitter. Based on what he achieved in his career with the Boston Red Sox, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone better. 6 American League batting titles, 4 home run crowns, and 2 Most Valuable Player awards for the game's last 400 hitter. After 3 years in the minors and a brief stint as a pitcher, Williams came to Boston in 1939. Ted was brewing with confidence, and the youngster backed up his big words with a big bat, hitting .327 and leading the junior circuit in RBIs. In 1941, Williams was batting .400 going into a season-ending doubleheader. Instead of sitting out both games to preserve his average, Ted played the entire twin bill, going 6 for 8 to finish the year at .406, the last time a major leaguer has reached that milestone. Despite his special skills, Williams was not without his critics. He often found himself at odds with the media, the fans, and even his own teammates. But no one could question his ability to hit a baseball. He won his first batting championship at age 23, his last at age 39. And in 1960, he marked a fitting end to his playing career by hitting a home run in his last at-bat. They called him the Splendid Splinter, the Thumper, and the Kid. As far as Ted Williams is concerned, call him the game's greatest hitter ever. When it came to hitting, Stan Musial was the National League's version of Ted Williams. Stan the Man won 7 league batting crowns in his 2+ decades with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he also won the admiration of baseball fans everywhere with his happy-go-lucky attitude toward the game. A strange twist of fate led Musial to the majors in 1941. A year earlier, Stan was touted as a talented pitching prospect, but a shoulder injury forced him to move to the outfield. He joined the Cardinal roster late in the '41 season and stayed with the Redbirds until his playing days were over. Stan's unusual batting stance became his calling card, and it helped him to a .331 lifetime average and a place in the illustrious 3,000 hit club. Musial's offensive game was also the catalyst for 2 World Series championships in St. Louis. Number 6's greatest single season came in 1948 when he won his second of 3 MVP trophies. He led the league in virtually every hitting category, including RBIs and batting average, and if not for a rainout, he would have been the league's home run king. Stan's love affair with Cardinal fans was truly a special one, and in appreciation of Musial's dedication to the team, a statue was erected of him outside Busch Stadium. Stan Musial, a superstar in all facets of the game. While Joltin' Joe, Terrible Ted, and Stan the Man were pounding opposing pitchers, Rapid Robert was baffling opposing hitters. Bob Feller's charming smile belied his devilish array of pitches, ranging from a clever curveball to a powerful fastball. Feller's baseball talents matured so early that the Cleveland Indians signed him away from his Iowa home when he was just 16. A year later, he struck out 8 St. Louis Cardinals in 3 innings of an exhibition game, enough to prompt Cards player-manager Frankie Frisch to pull himself from the lineup. Bob's performance earned him a spot on the Indians roster, and he quickly became the premier pitcher of the war era. He tossed 3 no-hitters during his career and helped the Tribe win the World Series in 1948. He was also one of the biggest attractions in the game, with fans coming from miles around to see number 19 fire his trademark fastball, which was once clocked at nearly 100 miles per hour. Before he hung up his spikes in 1956, Feller established himself as one of the greatest strikeout pitchers in big league history, assuring his place in the halls of Cooperstown. Jackie Robinson's presence among baseball's all-time greats is as much a credit to his courage and resilience as it is to his individual accomplishments on the field. Jackie was the first black man to play Major League Baseball, and to achieve what he did with the Brooklyn Dodgers is worthy of legendary acclaim. The year is 1947, and Robinson is coming off an MVP season with the Dodgers' top minor league team in Montreal. Jackie begins the year in Brooklyn and withstands countless acts of racial abuse from players and fans alike. Despite the hardships, he wins Rookie of the Year honors for the pennant-winning Dodgers. In 1949, Robinson proves his staying power by capturing the batting title and the National League MVP award as the abusers fall silent. Jackie's 1949 season gives fans a strong indication of his well-rounded athletic abilities. A former 4-sports star at UCLA, Robinson had a keen batting eye to go along with a solid glove at both second and first base. The most exciting aspect of Jackie's game was his base running, as shown by his electrifying steal of home in the 1955 World Series. When Jackie Robinson retired from baseball, he had earned nationwide respect, not just as a great player, but as a heroic person in the fight for human equality. Roy Campanella was Jackie's teammate on the great Dodger teams of the post-war era, and he was a stellar performer behind the plate. Campy played 10 seasons in Brooklyn, helping the Bums win 5 league pennants and a World Series crown. Roy was also a 3-time MVP and one of the toughest competitors the game has ever seen. Campanella joined the Dodgers in 1948 as a 26-year-old rookie, but his professional baseball career was already more than a decade old. Roy quit school to play in the Negro Leagues at the tender age of 15. Having already competed against such greats as Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige, Campy came to the big leagues with plenty of baseball experience, and he teamed with Dodger greats Gil Hodges, Duke Snider, and Carl Furillo to give Brooklyn one of the most feared lineups in the senior circuit. As a catcher, few could match Roy's throwing arm or his handling of pitchers. As a hitter, Campy posted impressive numbers, good enough to win him 3 Most Valuable Player trophies. Following the 1957 campaign, the team announced that they would be moving to Los Angeles. Unfortunately, Roy never got the chance to play on the West Coast. In January of 1958, Campy's career was ended by a car accident which left him paralyzed. Despite his handicap, Roy Campanella never lost his zest for life or his love for baseball, and he carried these sentiments with him until his death in 1993. Willie Mays was determined to be better than anyone else in all aspects of the game. He wanted to be a great home run hitter, and he was, smashing 660 of them in his career with the Giants and Mets. Willie wanted to be a great base runner, and he was dazzling on the base paths. He also wanted to be a standout defensive player, and his miracle catches left fans clamoring for more. Pound for pound, skill for skill, Mays was the most exciting player of his era, and perhaps the greatest there ever was. Willie played over 2 decades in the majors, winning over millions of baseball followers with his feats of greatness on the diamond. The game didn't always come easy to the say-hey kid. In 1951, Mays went a meager 1 for 26 in his big league debut. But after a show of support from his manager Leo DeRocher, Willie got back on track and was named the National League's Rookie of the Year. 3 years later, Mays was an MVP for the first time in leading the New York Giants to a sweep of Cleveland in the Fall Classic. When the Giants moved to San Francisco in 1958, Willie continued to post record-breaking numbers, hitting a career-high 347 in his first year by the Bay. Mays led the Giants to another league pennant out west, and he added a second MVP trophy in 1965, smashing 52 homers, another personal best. In 1972, Willie returned to New York to play for the Mets, where he finished out an amazing career. Willie Mays, one of baseball's most thrilling performers. When you talk about Mickey Mantle, you're bound to mention his home runs. Not necessarily how many he hit, but how far they went. It wasn't uncommon for Mickey to blast a ball over 500 feet, giving new meaning to the term tape measure job. Mantle's home run prowess made him one of baseball's most dangerous hitters and helped his New York Yankees dominate the sport as they had for the previous quarter of a century. With a powerful swing equally effective from both sides of the plate, Mickey compiled 536 homers in his years in pinstripes, leading the Yankees to an astonishing 12 American League pennants and 7 World Championships. Mantle's arrival in the Bronx in 1951 coincided with the departure of the great Joe DiMaggio. And even though he had to fill those big shoes in the Yankee lineup, Mickey was up to the task. Manager Casey Stengel made Mantle his everyday center fielder the following season, and Mickey responded by hitting 20-plus home runs and hitting well over 300. It wasn't long before number 7 became a favorite among Yankee fans with his awesome power. As the Yanks reigned supreme in the 1950s, Mantle reaped the benefits, capturing a Triple Crown in 1956, leading the American League in homers, RBIs, and batting average. By the early 1960s, time began to take its toll on Mickey. After hitting 54 homers in 1961, Mantle was beset by injuries, but he continued to fight in order to play the game he loved so dearly. In 1969, the Mick decided to call it quits, leaving behind stories of pennant races and mammoth home runs. The ultimate question for New York baseball fans in the 1950s was, who's the best player, Mays, Mantle, or Duke Snider? The throngs at Ebbets Field wouldn't have traded their Duke for either one of the other two, and not just because he was a Dodger. Snider was the primary slugger for Brooklyn's Boys of Summer, the teams that stood above the rest in the National League in the 1950s. Duke's game was versatile and polished. He hit 40 or more home runs 5 years in a row, and he batted 300 or better 7 times. On defense, no one patrolled the center field grass quite like number 4. In Brooklyn, the Duke of Flatbush was a vital cog in the Dodgers' 3 NL pennants during the 50s, and his 42 homers and league-leading 136 runs batted in were a key factor in Brooklyn's 1955 drive to the world title. Snider would once again enjoy the spoils of a champion. In 1959, Duke helped the Dodgers, who had now moved to Los Angeles, win another World Series as they defeated the Chicago White Sox in 6 games. Duke Snider, a superstar Hall of Famer. He had one of the quickest bats in baseball, quick enough to make him the game's greatest home run hitter, Henry Aaron. Aaron was a veteran of 23 major league seasons, and he established himself as one of baseball's most complete players. Aaron hit .305 lifetime, and he amassed almost 3,800 career hits. His defensive play in right field was top-notch, and his willingness to sacrifice individual goals for the good of the team made him a popular figure among his teammates. Henry broke in with the Milwaukee Braves in 1954. 3 years later, he was the National League MVP, and he played an essential role in the Braves' upset victory over the mighty New York Yankees in the World Series. When Henry's team moved to Atlanta in the mid-1960s, number 44 adjusted quickly, and it didn't take long for Aaron to win over the Georgia fans. After settling down in his new surroundings, Henry set out to hit home runs, posting a career-high 47 of them in 1971. By 1974, Aaron was the subject of tremendous media attention as he pursued Babe Ruth's all-time record of 714 home runs. Henry broke the record in Atlanta before a national television audience, and his place in baseball folklore was firmly secured. Yogi Berra was known as much for his unique interpretation of the English language as he was for his clutch play with the New York Yankees. Berra's famous quips include, "It ain't over till it's over," and "You can observe a lot by watching." While Yogi was a post-game interviewer's dream, he was an opposing pitcher's nightmare. Berra was the prototype bad ball hitter. He would swing at anything he could get his bat on, and he would make it count when it mattered most. Berra came to New York as both a catcher and an outfielder in 1947, and he became a fixture behind the plate 2 years later. Yogi handled the great Yankee pitching staffs of the 1950s with poise and savvy. In fact, Berra caught Don Larson's perfect game in the 1956 World Series, another big-time performance from this big-time Hall of Famer. The baseball career of Sandy Koufax is a tale of 2 pitchers. In the first half of his major league career, Sandy was no more than an average hurler. But in the second half, this Dodger left-hander emerged as a pitcher of superstar proportions. The accomplishments speak for themselves. 3 Cy Young Awards, 4 no-hitters, strikeout leader 4 times, and National League MVP in 1963. What makes all this even more astounding is that Koufax earned all of these titles and honors in just 6 years' time. Sandy fulfilled a childhood dream when he signed with the Brooklyn Dodgers, his hometown team, in 1955. The 20-year-old was a hard thrower with lots of talent, but little control of his pitches. For 6 long years, Sandy labored on the Dodger pitching staff, winning no more than 11 games in any one season. Then, during spring training in 1961, Koufax chose to follow the advice of catcher Norm Sherry, who suggested that Sandy throw the ball easier to help tame his wildness. The plan worked, and Koufax won 18 games that year, the first of 6 stellar campaigns for the Southpaw. Sandy's overpowering fastball was the major factor in his success, and he used it to lead the Dodgers to world championships in 1963 and 1965. While LA was flying high during this time, Koufax began to struggle with a painful form of arthritis in his pitching elbow. After the 1966 season, Sandy Koufax shocked the baseball world when he retired from the game rather than risk permanent injury to his arm. The time at number 32 spent in the baseball limelight was short, but it was enough to earn him a place in the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Sandy Koufax, a Dodger dominator and an unstoppable force on the mound. The game of baseball was played on a supreme level by the athletes highlighted here. Their performances on the field have left an indelible mark on American sports, and their stories are worthy of sharing for generations to come. Thanks for watching.
Kansas City pitcher Steve Crawford is about to get some royal shock treatment thanks to a little flash powder we've hidden behind the television monitor.
What do you have?
And his teammates just love it. Welcome to baseball's 101 Funniest Moments, where we always keep our sunny side up.
Keep your sunny side up, hide the side that gets blue. If you have 9 suns in a row, baseball teams make money, you know. Keep your winning side up, help the team to come through. For the sporting news, keep your sunny side up. Win the All-Star game, make the Hall of Fame. Keep your sunny side, give the ball a ride. Keep your sunny side up.
Over the course of the next half hour, it's going to be our goal to try to show you some of the funniest moments that have taken place in the game of baseball. You'll also hear classic stories from guys like Tommy Lasorda and Bob Costas. What else do we have on this tape? How about a guy who ties the knot at the ballpark? Or a player who brushes his teeth between every inning?
Or it's 1, 2, 3 strikes out.
Believe me, we've got it all. So sit back and get comfortable as we bring to you baseball's 101 Funniest Moments. Diamonds in the rough are what we like to call this next group of plays, because the skills of these ball players certainly could use a little bit of polish. Don't worry, folks, he was okay. Another player who could use plenty of pledge is this right fielder. There's error number 1. And here comes error number 2. number 3. And on play number 4, he finally makes the catch. But pays for it dearly, as does this pitcher who gets beamed by the catcher. Nice arm, pal. Or our hitter here who gets it right where it hurts. And our last diamond in the rough who has a little trouble with his slider. Hey, buddy, better work on those control problems. Brett Butler of the LA Dodgers decided to give his son some hitting tips, so he took him out back for a few drills. As you can see, this little guy already has a pretty good swing. Yeah, there are a lot of crazy things that occur in the game of baseball, and on any given night, you never know what you might see at the ballpark. Especially if on that particular night there's a full moon out. Take, for example, our disgruntled manager here, who after getting tossed out of the game decided to shove his shoe in the ump's face.
Smell this! You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna toss you out of the game!
Nice strategy. And this guy's still not done. Off go the glasses. Here's another guy who's just a little upset. First, he tosses the water cooler, and then the trash can. Not to be outdone, this manager decides to hand-deliver the trash can to the infield. Nice touch. Ah, the national pastime, a sport you can bring the whole family to. In fact, bring everyone you know. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, people from church, the dog, the cat, the bird. NBC sportscaster Bob Costas tells Jay Johnstone a story involving former Baltimore Orioles manager Earl Weaver.
I think of a manager like Earl Weaver, a legendary manager, but you know how he could rant and rave on the bench.
Tremendously.
And he was throwing a tirade one day. It's one of my favorite stories. And Pat Kelly, who was a reserve outfielder, was a very religious man, born-again Christian. And you know how profane Earl could be. I mean, every other word was you fill in the blank. And the Orioles are in a slump, and they're losing in the late innings, and he's walking up and down the bench cursing everybody and everything. And he picks up a bat, and he runs it along the top of the bench and scatters all the batting helmets that are lined up there, and players are all diving for cover, and they're all looking at the dirt. They don't want to make eye contact with Weaver. And suddenly, Kelly has a burst of courage, and Pat Kelly stands up and he says, "Earl, I'd like to see you walk with the Lord." And the entire bench falls silent. And Weaver looks at him and says, "Pat, I'd rather see you walk with the bases loaded."
Earl Weaver's not the only guy who ever threw a tantrum during a game. Ever since the beginning of baseball, managers have been known to lose their tempers. And 99% of the time, the reason these guys get so worked up is because of the boys in blue. Yelling, cursing, pointing fingers. There's something about umpires that make these otherwise normal adult men go absolutely crazy.
Hey, what's going on? What's the matter? He didn't call you that.
Yes, he did.
Hey, he was kicked him off the mound. He did not call you. He said it talking to the ground.
He looked right at me and called me a He's on report for it.
I didn't think he called you. I said, I heard him say He did not say him. Not hear him say I did not hear him say that. Go ahead, what's up?
He already ran me.
Go ahead. Okay. What do you want? Well, you ain't gonna get nothing.
He already ran my.
I know it. What are you gonna do?
Look at my.
No, go ahead. You didn't call him.
What?
You didn't call him.
What?
You didn't call him.
Right.
Okay, I know that. I know you didn't call him a. He called you right. He did not call you. No, he didn't. I'm standing right alongside of him now. Hi, if he said it, hey, I heard him say he called you.
Well, that's good enough.
Okay, but don't say he didn't say that. He did not say that. Fine. He called you. Agree with you, but he did not say you're.
Boy, I'm glad they got that straightened out. You know, umpires aren't always on the receiving end. Occasionally, they like to dish out their share of grief. The ballpark was McCoy Stadium in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, home of the Pawtucket Red Sox. And here, WJAR sportscaster Joe Rocco was trying to do a live report on the field. But there was a problem. You see, the game was ready to resume, and Rocco wasn't finished with his sportscast yet. so you'd think they'd wait for a few minutes, right? Wrong. The umpires didn't care at all that this was a live report. All they wanted to do was continue with the game.
31-year-old New York woman.
Holding up the game for this. We're not holding up the game.
We're on live
for it.
TV, sir.
Fine.
Okay.
Shut the game.
We'll be at
Shut the
30
lights off.
seconds.
No,
Okay, thank you.
we're not holding up the game.
All right. The umpires are giving us a little heat here. Okay, we'll be done in about 30 seconds.
No, you won't.
Nice
You'll
to
be
see
done now.
Okay, I'm going to get thrown out here on opening night.
Security, please.
Collins.
Can we get security over here, please?
All right, they're cutting the lights. We got to go. They want us out of here. Live at McCoy, I'm Joe Rocco. Kathy and Doug, take it away before they throw me out.
Pressing reason, the beauty of live television, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful.
We called this prank our dinner disaster, and our victim was Frank Thomas, the all-star slugger for the Chicago White Sox. The man who set him up, Steve Lyons of the Boston Red Sox, and the prince of Major League pranks, Jay Johnstone. Frank has gone out to dinner with these two guys, not knowing that we've hidden our cameras throughout the restaurant and are about to put him through the worst meal of his life. Everything Frank orders will be fouled up in some way, beginning with his Diet Coke, which we've loaded with syrup.
What is this?
Diet Coke? That's like a Diet Coke. So what you got?
I don't know. That's syrup. Syrup. Syrup.
Okay, Frank, you caught us that time. But now see if you can guess what's wrong with your soup.
Wonderful. Cold soup. Come on. Yes.
It's cold?
Yes, very cold.
2 for 2, Frank. But how about the bread that's on the table? Anything wrong with that?
This bread, it's like it has a little mold on it or something.
Maybe you should have dipped it in the soup.
Now, if you thought the bread was hard, wait till you try the main course, chicken a la leather.
Mystery meat.
Wow. Outstanding.
What'd you get? Chicken Miramar? What's wrong? Yeah. Mine's good.
I am so sorry.
No need to be sorry, Frank. You've been a great sport, and that's why we're going to let you off the hook. Right, Steve Lyons?
Yeah, in fact, if you look right back there real close and right over there, you'll notice there's a couple cameras.
Can we interest you in something from the dessert menu, Frank? Let's go back in time to the forefathers of baseball. Here's sunny side up Lou Headstand, who redefined the strike zone with his unorthodox style. Lou's flexibility was the key to his success. Then there was famed catcher Johnny I Catch Cannonballs with My Stomach Johnson. This guy became the prototype catcher because of his uncanny ability to block the plate. Nobody ever scored on Johnny Johnson. When you see the modern-day catcher block the plate and stand his ground, you know that Johnny Johnson had his impact. Neither he nor his successors would let even a freight train pass them. Let's give credit where credit is due to the heroes of the past. One present-day player who probably could trace his roots back to those old-timers is Turk Wendell, a pitcher who used to be a Brave but now is a Cub. Turk has plenty of crazy habits, like always running off the field and making sure he never touches the foul line. And he'll only take a ball from an umpire if it's rolled to him, and won't pick it up until it stops completely. He wears no socks, only stirrups. And during the game, he goes through at least 2 packs of black licorice. Wendell also has plenty more rituals he likes to perform.
I kneel down, get the ball, wait for the catcher to come. When he goes to kneel down and catch, I stand up, throw one of my pitches. Then I get the ball, he throws it second, get the ball, pray, draw 3 crosses in the dirt, and then go about my business. You know, after that, I'm a normal pitcher like anybody else.
Yeah, no different than anyone else. How many pitchers do you know who brush their teeth between every inning? You heard right. Between innings, Turk comes into the dugout, rakes out the toothpaste and polishes up those shiny whites. This 24-year-old is one promising minor leaguer with some major league superstitions. Time for our 7th inning stretch and this little man's rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Take me out to a ball game. Take me out to a prayer. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't have if I ever get back for it. Ooh, for a home team, a medal, and it's a shame. 'Cause it's 1, 2, 3 guys out at the ball game.
Now that the little guy has got us back in the baseball mood, let's drop everything and run out to the ballpark for plenty more fun. There's nothing like going out to your favorite stadium and watching the stars in action.
Oh, picture me pitching you kisses when the morning train is due. And when day's done, if it's raining, hun, I'll come sliding back to you. Oh, you better play ball with me. What a manager you could be. Let's give love a cloud. Honey, don't hold out. You better play ball with me. Yeah. Soft ball, hard ball, stick ball, knuckle ball, spitball, grease ball. You better play ball with me.
How would you like to go out to a ball game and see a golden retriever in right field? Get your hair cut in left field. Make a free phone call from the stands. And be placed in seats where you were encouraged to heckle the umpires. Sound good? Well, these were just a few of the sights we saw when we visited the Miracles, a professional baseball team in Fort Myers, Florida. And the person responsible for all these promotions is the president of the Miracles, Mike Veck, a guy who is self-proclaimed crazy.
I would like to think that I'm very rational but crazy. It's an oxymoron, and I tend more to the moron side than the oxy side, but I just love what I do.
And so do the fans, especially when you bring characters like Morticia out to clean off home plate with a vacuum during the 7th inning stretch. Or when you set up a beauty salon that sits right behind the third base bag. Veck says it doesn't get any better than this.
You take the worst thing in the world, which is getting your hair cut, and you take the best thing in the world, which is a ball game, you combine them, and bingo, you've got something that doesn't make any sense. Tailor-made for me.
And so was the Blue Review, a special section where fans sit and critique the umpires.
Hey, Blue! German Shepherd in the parking lot looking for you! You're missing a good game, Blue! Use the good eye!
Now, if you think anyone can do this, you're wrong. Just ask these fellas.
No way.
No. You gotta have etiquette. You can't be completely mindless.
Another fan favorite is the cellular phone in the stands. Hey, lady, who you calling?
Oh, she scared me to death.
Sorry, ma'am. We didn't mean to scare you. Just wanted to know who you were calling.
My son. See if he's home.
Checking up on him?
Yes, he's 17. I always check up on him.
And probably the most famous of all Veck's promotions is Jericho, the Miracle Dog. Jericho's job is to keep the fans happy by signing autographs during the game and to keep the umpires happy by providing them with Gatorade in between innings.
Good stuff. There you go, Jericho. Take your back now.
Miracle Baseball, a place where everyone has fun, including the team president.
It's criminal. I have more fun every year. I'm 41 years old with a job that I'm underqualified for simply because my mentality hasn't reached the age of 5 yet.
And that's why we love you, Mike. Another baseball promotion that's become popular over the years is the bat spin race, where contestants are required to put their heads on a bat, spin around 10 times, then it's a race to third base. Hey, third base, not the pitcher's mound. Round and round they go. Where they stop, nobody knows. Here they go again, off to third base. Not even close. These two poor guys couldn't even find their way out of the batting circle. Up you go, down you go. And the guy on the left takes the cake when it comes to the bat spin race. Not only is he about to lose his balance, but he's also about to lose his pants. Come on, buddy, pull them trousers up.
And interesting, if anything, way says these contestants, Paul Mins in the red shirt and Ronald Kaiser in the white shirt. Mins and Kaiser having trouble with the bat race. But Mins able to find his senses and get to the third base bag and win it. He'll win it.
And a couple more crazy scenes we came across on the diamond include this minor leaguer who popped the question behind home plate.
Sorry, will you marry me?
How romantic, a mere 50,000 people looking on. A hug, a quick smooch, then he says, "See you later, hon. I have to go out with the guys and finish the rest of the ball game." On to a guy who took things one step further when he got married at the ballpark, with Father Guido Sarducci presiding, and 12 of his closest teammates standing in as ushers. And occasionally, the craziness even spills over into the game. Watch the second baseman as he takes the ball and puts it underneath his armpit. We've all heard of the hidden ball play, but how many of us have ever seen it work to perfection? Even this experienced third base coach is oblivious to what's going on. Back to our second baseman, who still has the ball under his left armpit. The time has come. The trap is sprung, and he tags out the runner for a double play. Time for another classic baseball story. This one comes from Tommy Lasorda, who talks about former Dodger catcher Joe Ferguson.
Exactly. Okay, now let me tell you why I hired Ferguson. We're playing in Dodger Stadium. Runner on third base and 2 outs in the top of the 8th inning.
Okay.
Ground ball to my third baseman, Mickey Hatcher.
Right.
Now, I know Mickey's got a gun for an arm, so I'm going to follow the flight of the ball like this from third to first, because I know he's going to get it over there quick. Right?
Okay.
Ground ball hit to Mickey. I go like this. He fires the ball home. Now, I know one thing. Ferguson is going to be running and backing up the play, right?
Correct.
So I know the ball's going to be up against the screen.
Right.
The run's going to score. That guy's going to go to second base because Ferguson's down to first base, right? Wrong.
Wrong.
When Hatcher catches the ball, he fires it home. Ferguson is waiting for the throw and tags the guy out for the third out. So when they come in, I said to Hatcher, "What are you doing, Mickey? Throwing the ball home with a runner on third base and 2 outs." And Mickey says, "I thought it was 1 out." I said, "That could happen." I said, "Fergie, you are dumber than him. You were waiting on the throw." And Fergie looked at me and he said, "When you play with dummies, you got to think dumb."
While Ferguson takes care of Tommy, let's move on to some party time.
Come on, everybody! Come on, everybody! Shake it, shake it, shake that thing! Shake it, shake it, shake that thing! Shake it, shake it, shake that thing!
Now one from our strange but true baseball file. This one took place in Rochester, New York, home of the Rochester Red Wings, where two of their players, Shane Turner, number 7, and Tommy Shields, number 19, attempted to enter the baseball record book, but first they had to get the okay from their skipper.
They proposed it yesterday. They said if we clinched second place, could we try getting 2 guys to play 9 positions in one game, and I think it'd be a record. And I said, sure, but let's clinch it first. So they went out there last night. It took us 11 innings, but we finally clinched it, so we're going to give it a go today.
And give it a go they did. Each inning, these two guys moved to a different position, whether it be third base, second base, shortstop, and even pitching. There was one position that Tommy wasn't looking forward to playing.
Catching. I never caught. I caught, I think the last time I caught was when I was 9 years old. So I'm not real excited about it.
But he wanted that record, so he did it anyway. And somehow these two guys managed to play all 9 positions in one ball game, which in turn secured them a place in the baseball record book and our strange but true file. Time for our baseball impressions of the decade. First, we have Babe Ruth. Nice job there, Babe. Next, we have Reggie Jackson. While Reggie circles the bases, let's move on to another one of those diamond delights. When Jed Dalton of the University of Nebraska stepped to the plate, he thought this was going to be just another at-bat. But boy, was he wrong. Because Jed not only hit the ball out of the ballpark, but he also managed to hit it right through the window of a car that was passing by the stadium.
I knew I hit it hard, but I thought it was on the line too much to get out of the park. So I was on my horse trying to get around and get a double or triple out of it, and just left the park. I didn't even know it shattered the window until I crossed home plate, came in, and then I looked out there, and I guess I saw the car with the shattered windshield. So it was still pretty exciting.
Yeah, pretty exciting for Jed, but not for the guy who was driving the car, who luckily didn't have a passenger with him.
I usually don't go down that road. I usually go down 14. There was a train coming, so I went around the other way. All I was doing was just driving by, and all of a sudden I heard crash. And the hard ball went through my window. And it kind of scared me a little bit. So I just sat there for a little while. And I heard one of the players ask me if I was all right. And I got out of my car and said, yeah, I'm okay.
So you're going to keep this baseball now?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to find out who hit it. And take it down and have him autograph it.
And so, what would be the next logical part to our story? You guessed it, Robert had the chance to meet Jed Dalton at the ballpark and had him autograph that historic baseball. This was definitely one of those once-in-a-lifetime sports moments. And what's Robert going to do with that glass-shattering baseball?
Get it mounted right on the front of my car.
Ready for some more monkey business? Meet Charlie, our furry friend, who's about to scare the daylights out of Dwayne Henry of the Cincinnati Reds, who thinks Charlie's a real gorilla.
my roots.
Well, folks, that's it for baseball's 101 Funniest Moments. Hope you enjoyed the tape, and we'll see you at the ballpark.
You're gonna win that ball game, Uncle Sam. So pitch that cannonball the way you can. You were slow beginning, but just wait till that ninth inning. You can finish what they all began. Your team is all behind you to the man. So keep your bat and make that home run slam. Keep the bases loaded till your hits have all exploded. You're gonna win that ball game, Uncle Sam. Show the Axis how we play in the good old U.S. way. You're gonna win that ball game, Uncle Sam.
Baseball's 101 Funniest Moments was produced by Steve Rotfeld Productions.